Osho, Vigyan Bhayrav Tantra, Volume 2, The Book of the Secrets, a New Commentary, Discourse number 3, given in Bombay, India.
Northrop says somewhere that Western mind has been continuously searching for the theoretical component of existence, the causal link, how things happen, what is the cause, and how the effect can be controlled, how man can manipulate nature. And the Eastern mind, says Natha, has been on a different adventure. The search has been to find out the aesthetic component of reality, not the theoretical, but the aesthetic. The Eastern mind has not been much involved with the search to know how to manipulate nature, but how to be one with nature, not how to conquer it, but how to be in a deep friendship, a deep participation with it. The Western mind has been in a conflict, a struggle. The Eastern mind has been in a mystique, a love relationship. I don't know whether Nathrop will agree with me or not, but my feeling is science is a hatred, a relationship of hatred with nature. Hence, struggle, fight, conquering, the language of victory. Religion is a love relationship. Hence, no conflict, no struggle. In another way, science is a male attitude and religion a female attitude. Science is aggressive, religion is receptive. The Eastern mind is religious. Or, if you allow me to say, I will say, wherever religious mind is, it is Eastern. Scientific mind is Western. It makes no difference whether the man is born in East or West. I am using East and West as two attitudes, two approaches, not two geographical denominations. You can be born in the West, but you may not belong there. You may be as Eastern, out and out. You may be born in the East, you may not belong. You may be scientific. The approach may be mathematical, intellectual. Tantra is absolutely Eastern. It is a way of participating with reality. How to be one with it, how to dissolve boundaries, how to move in an undifferentiated realm. Mind differentiates. creates boundaries, definitions. Because mind cannot work without definitions, without boundaries. The more clear-cut the boundaries, the better the possibility for the mind to work. So mind cuts, divides, chops everything. Religion is dissolving boundaries to move to the undifferentiated, where there is no definition, where there is no limit to anything, where everything moves into everything else, where everything is everything else. You cannot cut, you cannot chop existence. The consequences are bound to be very different. By scientific approach, by dividing, chopping, you can come only to dead particles, atoms. Because life is something which cannot be cut into divisions. And the moment you cut it, it is no more there. It is as if someone goes to study a symphony by studying each single note. Each single note is part of the symphony, but it is not symphony. The symphony is created by many notes dissolving into each other. You cannot study symphony by studying notes. I cannot study you by studying your parts. You are not just a total. You are more than that. When you divide and cut and analyze, life disappears from there. Only dead parts are left. That's why science will never be capable to know what life is. And whatsoever is known through science will be about death, matter. It will never be about life. Science may become capable of manipulating life, knowing the parts, the dead parts. It may be capable to manipulate life, but still, life is not known, not even touched. Life remains unknowable by science. By the very nature of its technology, its methodology, by the very approach, life cannot be known through it. That's why science goes on denying anything else than matter. The very approach debars any contact with that which is life. And the same happens vice versa also. If you move deeply into religion, you will start denying matter. Shankara says, matter is illusion. It is not there, it simply appears to be. The whole Eastern approach has been denying the world, matter, anything. Material. Why? Science goes on denying life, the divine, consciousness. Religious, deeper experiences go on denying matter, all that is material. Why? The very approach. If you look at life without differentiation, matter disappears. Matter is life divided, differentiated. Matter means life defined, analyzed into parts. So of course, if you look at life undifferentiatedly and become part of it, in a deep participation, as two lovers become one, you become one with existence, matter disappears. That's why Sankara says, matter is illusion. It is, if you participate in existence. But Marx says, consciousness is just a byproduct. It is not substantial. It is just a function of matter. If you divide life, then consciousness disappears, becomes illusory. Then only matter is. What I am intending to say to you is this. Existence is one. If you approach it through analysis, it appears material, dead. If you approach it through participation, it appears as life, divine consciousness. If you approach it through science, there is no possibility of any deep bliss happening to you. Because with dead matter, bliss is impossible. At the most, it can only be illusory. Only with a deep participation, bliss is possible. Tantra is a love technique. The effort is to make you one with existence. So you will have to lose many things before you can enter. You will have to lose your habitual pattern of analyzing things. You will have to lose the deep-rooted attitude of fighting, of thinking in terms of conquering. When Hillary reached to the highest peak of Himalaya, Everest, all the Western world reported it as conquering the Everest. Only in a Zen monastery in Japan, on a wall newspaper it was written, Everest has been befriended, not conquered. This is the difference. Everest has been befriended. Now humanity has become friendly. And Everest has allowed Hillary to come to him. Not a conquering. The very word conquer is vulgar, violent. To think in terms of conquering shows aggressiveness. But the Everest has received Hillary, welcomed. And now humanity has become friendly. Now the chasm is bridged. Now we are not unacquainted. One of us has been received by Everest. Now Everest has become part of human consciousness. This is a bridging. And the whole thing becomes totally different as you look at it. Remember this before we enter the techniques. Remember this. Tantra is a love effort towards existence. That's why so much of sex has been used by Tantra. Because it is a love technique. It is not only love between man and woman, it is a love between you and existence. And for the first time, existence becomes meaningful to you. If you are a man, then existence appears meaningful to you through a woman. If you are a woman, then existence becomes for the first time meaningful through a man. That's why sex has been so much discussed and used by Tantra. Think yourself as absolutely asexual, as if all sex has been removed from you the day you were born. Just think. All sex was removed completely from you the day you were born. You will be unable to love. You will be unable to feel any affinity with anyone. It will be difficult to get out of yourself. You will remain enclosed. You will not be able to approach, to go out, to meet someone there in existence. You will be a dead thing, closed from everywhere. Sex is your effort to reach out. You move from yourself. Someone else becomes the center. You leave your ego behind. You go away from it to meet someone. And really, if you want to meet, you will have to surrender. And if the other also wants to meet you, he will also have to move out. Look at the miracle. In love, what happens? You move to the other and the other moves to you. He comes into you and you go into him or into her. You have changed places. Now he becomes your soul and you become his soul or her soul. This is a participation. Now you are meeting. Now you have become a circle. This is the first meeting where you are not enclosed in the ego. This meeting can become just a stepping stone towards a greater meeting with the universe, with existence, with reality. Tantra is based not on intellect, but on a heart. It is not an intellectual effort. It is a feeling effort. Remember this, because that will help you to understand the techniques. Now we will enter the techniques. First technique. Be the unsame same to friend as to strangers, in honor and in dishonor. Be the unsame same to friend as to stranger, in honor and dishonor. Be the unsame same. This is the base. What is happening in you? Two things are happening. Something in you remains continuously the same. It never changes. You may not have observed it. You may not have encountered it yet. But if you observe, you will come to know something in you remains constantly the same. Because of that same, you can have an identity. Because of that same X, you feel yourself centered. Otherwise, you will be a chaos. You say, my childhood. Now what has remained of it? Who says my childhood? Who is this my? Me. I. Nothing has remained of your childhood. If your pictures are shown to you for the first time of your childhood, you will not be able to recognize them. Everything has changed. Your body is no more the same. Not a single cell has remained the same. Physiologists say, body is a flux. It is river-like. Every moment, many cells are dying and many new are born. Within 7 years, your body would have changed completely. So if you are going to live for 70 years, for 10 times, your body has renewed completely. Every moment your body is changing. And your mind, you cannot recognize your photograph of your childhood. And if it is possible to give you a photograph of your mind, of your childhood mind, it will be impossible to recognize it. Your mind is even more efflux than your body. Every moment, everything changes. Even for a single moment, nothing remains the same. In the morning, you were different as far as your mind is concerned. In the evening, you are totally a different person. Buddha used to say, when someone will come to meet him and will go and depart and will take leave of him, he will say, remember, the man who came to meet me is not the man who is going back. You are totally different now. Your mind has changed. Meeting with a Buddha, of course, is bound to change your mind. For better or worse, that is. But you cannot be the same. You came here with a different mind. You will go with a different mind. Something has changed, something new has been added, something has been deleted. And even if you are not meeting anyone, just remaining by yourself, then too you cannot remain the same. Every moment, the river is moving. Heraclitus has said, you cannot step twice in the same river. The same can be said about man. You cannot meet the same man again. Impossible. And because of this fact, and because of our ignorance of it, life becomes a misery. Because you go on expecting the other to be the same. You marry a girl, and you expect her to be the same. She cannot be. Unmarried, she was different. Married, she is completely different. A lover is something else. A husband, totally different. You cannot expect your lover to meet you through your husband. That is impossible. A lover is a lover, a husband is a husband. The moment a lover becomes a husband, everything has changed. but you go on expecting. And that creates misery, unnecessary misery. If we can recognize this fact that mind goes on moving and changing continuously, we will escape many, many miseries without any cost. Simple awareness that mind changes. You love me, and then I go on expecting love. But the next moment you hate me. Then I am disturbed. Not because of your hate, but only because of my expectation. And you have changed. And you are alive, so you are bound to change. But if you can see through the reality as it is, you will not be disturbed, because you know one who was in love a moment before can be in hate a moment later. Wait 1 moment later and he will be in love again. So don't be in a hurry, just be patient. And if the other can also see this changing pattern, then we will not be fighting for changing patterns. They change. That's natural. So if you look at your body, it changes. If you try to understand your mind, it changes. It is never the same. Even for 2 consequent moments, nothing is same. Your personality goes on like a flux. If this is all, and there is nothing which remains the same continuously, eternally, timelessly, then who will remember that this was my childhood? Childhood has changed. The body has changed, the mind has changed. Then who remembers? Then who knows about childhood and about youth and about old age? Who knows? This knower must remain the same. This witness must remain the same. Only then the witness can have a perspective. The witness can say, this is my childhood, this is my young age, this is my old age. This moment I was in love, and this moment the love changed into hatred. This witnessing consciousness, this knower, is always the same. So you have 2 realms, or 2 dimensions existing together with you, in you. You are both the changing, always changing, and the non-changing, and always remaining non-changing. If you become aware of these 2 realms, then this technique will be helpful. Be the unsame same. Remember this. Be the unsame same. You are bound to be unsame on the periphery, but on the center remain the same. Remember that which is same. Just remembering will be enough. You need not do anything else. It is non-changing. You cannot change it, but you can forget it. You can be so engrossed, obsessed with the changing world around you, of your body, of your mind, that you may completely forget the center. The center is so clouded by the changing flux. And of course, there are problems. That which is constantly the same, difficult to remember it, because change creates problems. For example, if a constant noise goes on around you, you will not be aware of it. A clock on the wall goes on tick-tack, tick-tack the whole day. You are never aware of it. But if suddenly it stops, you will immediately become aware. Because constantly the same, there is no need to take any notice. When something changes, the mind has to take notice. It creates a gap, and the pattern vibrates. You were hearing it continuously. There was no need to hear it. It was there. It has become part of the background. But now suddenly the clock stops. You will become aware. Your consciousness will come suddenly to the gap. It is just like if your one teeth falls down, then your tongue goes continuously to it. And the teeth was there, and the tongue never tried any meeting. And now the teeth is not there. Just a gap is there. And the whole day, howsoever you try, you cannot help. The tongue goes to the gap. Why? Because something is missing. And the background has changed. Something new has entered. Whenever something new enters, you become conscious. For many reasons. It is a safety measure. It is needed by your life to survive. When something changes, you have to become aware. It may be dangerous. You have to take notice. And you have to adjust again to the new situation that has come into being. But if everything is as it was, there is no need. You need not be aware. And this same element in you, what Hindus have called Atman, the soul, this has been so always, from the very beginning, if there was any beginning. And it is going to be to the very end, if there is going any end. It has been eternally the same. How you can be aware of it? Because it is so permanently the same, eternally the same, you are missing it. You take notice of the body, you take notice of the mind because they are changing. And because you take notice of them, you start thinking that you are them. You know only them. You become identified. The whole spiritual effort is to find out the same amidst the unsame. To find out the eternal in the changing. To find out that which is always the same. That is your center. And if you can remember that center, only then this technique will be easy. Or, if you can do this technique, remembering will become easy. From both the ends, you can travel. If you try this technique, the technique is be the unsame same to friend as to a stranger. To the friend and to the enemy or to the stranger. Be the unsame same. What does it mean? It seems contradictory. In a way, you will have to change. Because if your friend comes to meet you, you will have to meet differently. And if a stranger comes, you will have to meet differently. How can you meet a stranger as if you knew him already? You cannot. The difference will be there. But still deep down remain the same. The attitude must remain the same. The behavior will be unsame. You cannot meet an unknown person as if you know him already. How can you meet him? You can pretend at the most, but pretensions will not do. The difference will be there. There is no need to pretend with a friend that he is a friend. With a stranger, if you even try that he is a friend, it will be a pretension and something new. You cannot be the same. Unsameness will be necessary. As far as behavior is concerned, you will be different. But as far as your consciousness is concerned, you can be the same. You can look at the friend as the stranger. Difficult. You may have heard, look at the stranger as the friend. But that is not possible if what I say is not possible. First look at your friend as the stranger. Only then you can look at the stranger as the friend. They are correlated. Have you ever looked at your friends as if they are strangers? If you have not looked, then you have not looked at all. Look at your wife. Really, do you know her? You may have lived for 20 years or even more. And the more you live with her, the more is the possibility you will go on forgetting that she is a stranger. And she remains a stranger. Howsoever you love will not make any difference. Really, if you love her more strange she will look. Because the more you love, the deeper you penetrate. And the more you know how river-like she is, moving, changing, alive, every moment different. If you don't look deeply, just stick to the labels that she is your wife, this is her name and that, then you have chosen a particular fragment. And you go on thinking that fragment as your wife. And whenever she changes, she has to hide her changes. She may not be in a loving mood, but she has to pretend, because you expect love from your wife. Then everything becomes false. She is not allowed to change. She is not allowed to be herself. When something is being forced, then whole relationship goes dead. The more you love, the more you will feel the changing pattern. Then each moment you are a stranger. You cannot predict. You cannot say how your husband is going to behave tomorrow morning. You can predict only if you have a dead husband. Then you can predict. Predictions are possible only about things, never about persons. If some person is predictable, know well, he is dead. He has died. His living is just false. You can predict. Nothing is predictable about persons because of the change. Look at your friend as a stranger. He is. Don't be afraid, because we are afraid of strangers. So we go on forgetting that even a friend is a stranger. If you can look in your friend, the stranger also, you will never get frustrated. because you cannot expect anything from a stranger. You take your friends taken for granted, hence expectations, and then frustrations, because no one can fulfill your expectations. No one is here to fulfill your expectations. Everyone is here to fulfill his own expectations. No one is here to fulfill you. Everyone is here to fulfill himself or herself. And you expect others to fulfill you, and others expect you to fulfill them. Conflict, violence, struggle, and misery. Go on always remembering the stranger. Don't forget, even your closest friend is a stranger, as far removed from you as possible. If this feeling happens to you and this knowing, then you can look at the stranger and you can find the friend there also. If a friend can be a stranger, then a stranger can be a friend. Look at a stranger. He doesn't know your language. He doesn't belong to your country. He doesn't belong